A Chief Justice of England said, "But for drink, we might shut up 9 out of every 10 jails." Another judge of England said, "I do believe that 9/10 of the crime committed in these countries is engendered in drinking houses." Lord Rich, when he was Home Secretary, stated that 80% of crime was due to alcohol. Once Sir William Harcourt was challenged as to when he became a temperance reformer, and he replied, "From the date when, in the responsibility of the Home Department, I had cognizance of these causes of crime which led many a man and woman to loss of liberty and life." When the mouths of chief ministers water for drink revenue, they should think of what the state will have to spend to keep crimes down. All religions, including Christianity, Buddhism, Jainism, Hinduism, and Islam, advise their votaries to abstain from drink. The justice that would have made coconut or polymerous fruits, if left to itself, is aborted and drawn into pots for fermenting into toddy. Once the juice is fermented into toddy, the vitamins and enzymes in the juice are almost wholly destroyed. If anyone suspects tuberculosis consumption, it is best to depend on the advice of qualified doctors and cod liver oil or shark oil and streptomycin, and not resort to toddy or beer for a cure. A famous British physician, Dr. Saliby, wrote, "All first-hand scientific students of alcohol, from Sir Charles Sherrington, President of the Royal Society, and Sir Humphrey Rolleston, President of the Royal College of Physicians, downwards, are agreed that alcohol, from first to last in health and in disease, is not stimulant as mankind had so long believed, but a narcotic. Alcohol paralyzes the white cells of blood, which are the blood vessels, inflames the tissue of the liver, poisons the heart muscles, and causes accumulation of fat therein. It prevents proper nourishment of muscles by robbing them of the oxygen. It hinders the functions of the mind by paralyzing the delicate cells of the brain. Strong drinks made of French polish on illicit prescriptions lead to short-term poisoning casualties. Illicit arrack supplied by government licenses leads to long-term poisoning of the vital organs, the heart, the liver, and the brain, besides making a beast of the man by its immediate effects of the brain. The obituary notice of, if any, about the death of youngest persons tell us only about the ailment immediately preceding the demise. They tell us nothing about the cumulative effect of imbibing alcohol through the previous years, steadily preparing for the end. Beer is made from barley or other similar grains. It is soaked in water and kept warm until it sprouts. After some days, it is roasted and crushed, placed in a tub at a warm temperature, and allowed to ferment with yeast. It is then put in vats to clear. Hops are added to the beer to give it a bitter taste and a particular characteristic of beer. The active element in hops is the same as in ganja, bhang, or charas. There is a great deal of talk now about breweries being established in our country to make what is called a light drink, namely beer. The effect of any intoxicating drink depends not only on the alcoholic percentage in that drink, whether it is 8% or 12% or 50%, but also on the quantity consumed. Beer continues besides the usual intoxicating element, alcohol, a quantity of hops, which is hallucinating drug. The peculiar characteristic of beer is due to the hops in it. This is from the resin-coated flowering tops of the female hemp plant. The resin is discharged for want of impregnation and formation of seed. Hops like ganja, bhang and charas are derived from the hemp plant, alluring customers by the first pleasing sensations produced by hallucination. Indulgence in any drink containing these hallucinating drugs end in making the consumer a miserable wreck by addiction to the hallucinating effects. A great big advertisement of Peter Scott whiskey decorates the Indian Express issue of August 13th, offensively disregarding Article 47 of the Directive Principles chapter of the Constitution. The Indian Express has again distinguished itself by a half-page advertisement of a special blend of whiskey. I am surprised that the management of the Indian Express fails to see the great disservice to the coming generation that such advertisements do. The Indian Express of October 10 carries again a monstrous sized brandy advertisement, undeterred by my repeated protests. This is probably treated as part of the freedom of the press.